What's going on, family? Welcome back to the channel. A few reasons why being an owner-operator in trucking is not for everyone. There's a lot of people nowadays making the transition into owning and operating their own business or being self-employed. A lot of people are succeeding at it. A lot of people are failing at it. It's not an easy transition. There's a lot of misconceptions that people have before they become an owner operator. In this video, I'm gonna deal with a few of them and share with you a few reasons why being an owner operator and being self-employed, in my opinion, is just not cut out for everyone. Reason number one, I think this is a big misunderstanding that people have. It takes time to figure out how to make profit. Most people aren't able to just come into being an owner operator or being self-employed and immediately figure out how to make profit. They're not able to immediately know what their KPIs are. KPIs standing for key performance indicators. You guys that are company drivers, you've probably heard owner operators say before that if you want to be successful at being an owner operator, you need to know your numbers. It takes a while to know what numbers you need to be paying attention to. It just takes time to understand what numbers really move the needle. And for a lot of people, it takes 3 years, 5 years to be able to come in and really get an understanding of how not just to make money, but how to actually make profit as a self-employed individual. And many people just aren't prepared for that when they make the transition from being an employee into working for themselves as an owner operator. Reason number two, this is another big misunderstanding that I believe people have. You still have a boss when you begin to work for yourself. Many people make the transition from working for someone else to working for themselves because they don't want to have a boss. But that's a misunderstanding because technically speaking, your boss may be your customers at that point. And even if your boss isn't your customers or your clients as an owner operator, your boss is still your responsibilities. Here's what I mean by that. If you wake up tomorrow morning as an owner operator or for the next week or the next month or the next quarter or whatever, and you decide you don't want to go to work, the point that I'm making with this tip is you still have people you have to answer to. That's who becomes your boss when you're self-employed. You don't necessarily have anybody telling you what to do, but you still have people to answer to. You still have people that are gonna expect you to do things, be it clients that are gonna expect you to fulfill a service, or be it bill collectors that's gonna expect you to give them money. When you get your life to the point that you really don't have anybody to answer to, clients, customers, or bill collectors, then at that point, maybe you don't have a boss. But I don't know really anybody in trucking that doesn't have either one of those. It doesn't have anybody to answer to. To me, that's a big misunderstanding. People want to get rid of their boss. That's why they become self-employed. But guess what, family? Even billionaires have bosses. When you run a billion-dollar corporation, your customers become your boss. And even if you don't have customers that are your boss, again, you still got financial responsibilities. You still got people and entities and things to answer to and answer for, even when you work for yourself. Big misconception that people have. Third reason, everything is your responsibility when you work for yourself. And some people just aren't built that way. Some people, with all due respect, need to be told what to do. And that's what's happening when you work for somebody else, generally speaking. But when you work for yourself, nobody's really telling you what to do. Nobody's telling you how to do it. If any decision has to get made, it's made by you, which means if your decision turns out to be a bad one, or if you fail, there is no one else to blame when you work for yourself other than yourself. And for most people, this is too much pressure. The fourth reason why being self-employed or being an owner operator is not for everyone is you don't know what you love to do. If you want to be successful as the owner and operator of your own truck or your own business, or you want to be successful at being self-employed, you need to know what you enjoy doing. Not just what you enjoy doing, but what you love doing and what you're passionate about doing. And many people, when they start working for themselves, when they become an owner operator and they get in their own truck, the main motive behind doing it is money. But Working for yourself is too difficult for money to be the main motivator. Working for yourself is just that difficult where you're going to want to quit a lot of the times unless you love what you're doing. That's just what's going to be required in order to get you through the tough times in a lot of situations. Another reason why being self-employed is just not for everyone, I think this is number 5. Some people just don't have enough financial discipline. You are in charge of what happens to the money when it comes into your hands. And there has been many people that work for themselves that because of a lack of financial discipline, after doing it for a while, it's just too much pressure, or they get themselves into a financial jam. Brings me to the next reason, number 6, the reason why being self-employed or being an owner-operator is just not for everyone. Some people have a bad relationship with money. Now, I said a minute ago that you don't want the main reason why you go into business for yourself as an owner-operator to be money. It needs to be because you love whatever industry or whatever profession you're going to be doing. You're just that passionate about it. But on the flip side of the coin, you got to pay attention to the money, okay? Because the money is what tells you whether you're doing it the right way or not. What do I mean by this? If you're not making no money, if you're not making any profit, guess what? You're not doing something the right way. How the money is coming in and whether there's enough profit for all the things that you need to be allocating money for as a business owner, as an owner operator, whether there's enough for all of that is an indicator as to whether you're running your business the right way. Number 7, the reason why being self-employed is just not for everybody. Being an owner operator requires courage. It requires boldness. And this is another thing that some people just aren't built that way. Some people are just too timid to be in charge and in control of making their own decisions and standing by those decisions. They say as a self-employed individual, a lot of the times it's not necessarily about making the right decisions. It's about making decisions and then standing by those decisions so that they become the right decisions. A lot of us that do this aren't necessarily always making the right decisions. We just become proficient at making a decision and then making it the right decision. 2 totally different ways of going about things. Number 8, the reason why being self-employed is just not for everyone. Being an owner operator in trucking or any other profession requires focus, meaning everything else could be falling apart in your life. You still got to find a way to focus on servicing your clients, servicing your customers, doing the job, conducting your business. I've often heard that doctors, when they are working on a patient and they lose the patient, they got a few minutes to dwell on that, but then they typically have another patient waiting on them right after that. What do I mean by that? You got to get yourself back together. You don't have time to be bringing your problems into your place of work when you work for yourself. It requires an extreme amount of focus. Everything else can be going on, but when it's time to conduct business and when it's time to generate money, especially if your lifestyle is depending on you to make the money that your business generates, you got to focus on delivering excellence for your customers. You can't allow distractions outside of your business to infiltrate your business. You can't be at your place of business or doing your job or doing your work and thinking about what's going on at home or what's going on with your child or what's going on with your wife or what's going on in some other area of your life. You have to be focused on servicing your client and conducting your business. And again, this is another one of those things that many people just aren't built with that level of focus. Number 9, working for yourself requires you to constantly put yourself in a place where you're uncomfortable because you're either expanding or you're dying. There is no standing still. There is no maintaining. Sometimes you talking to people and you say, how you doing? They say, I'm maintaining. There is no maintaining. You're either going forward or you're dying. In a very practical sense, here's a way to look at that. Right now, inflation nationally is at somewhere around 8 to 8.5%. Simply put, what that means is we're all losing 8 to 8.5% of our purchasing power every single year. You got $100 saved up this year. Next year, it's only going to be worth $92. We're losing 8 to 8.5% of our purchasing power every year. That means that every year you have to be getting ahead or expanding by at least 8 to 8.5%. If you're not, you're going behind. So to be successful working for yourself as an owner operator or being self-employed, you have to constantly be expanding, because again, standing still is going backwards. In order to constantly be expanding, you got to constantly be looking to do things more efficiently, more proficiently. You got to constantly be looking to do things in another way, in a better way, which generally speaking means you're always in a space where you're uncomfortable. In order to expand, you can't stay in your comfort zone. And many people, again, just aren't built that way. Some people, when things get tough, they don't want to keep forging forward. They want to go backward to what they're comfortable with. But if you want to be successful, being self-employed, you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. You got to stay in a space of constantly looking for ways to expand. Number 10, the reason why being self-employed is not for everybody is it's just bad timing for some people. Some people have too many distractions going on in their life. Being self-employed is a lot like having children or having a spouse. And your spouse, your child, when they need something, they need something. When it's needed, it's needed. And your business is the same way. When things are needed, it's needed. Your business is doesn't care about all the other stuff that you want to do, the fact that you want to get off early, the fact that you don't have this resource, the fact that you don't have time to do this stuff. When something is needed in your business, it's needed. A lot of the times, owner operators end up having to work on their truck after hours or on the weekend. A lot of times they got to put more time into their business or into working for themselves than they were having to put into their job when they worked for someone else. And if you're the type of individual that you got too many distractions going on, or you don't have the time to give your business the time that it needs when it needs it, just the same way that if you don't have time for your children or time for your wife, that means you might want to hold off on having them. It's the same way with being self-employed and being an owner operator. You might just want to hold off on working for yourself. Number 11, the reason why being self-employed is not for everyone. Some people are just too trusting of people. Some people are just too nice to people. And if that's you, you're vulnerable to being taken advantage of by people, because people, generally speaking, will go as far as you let them. So while you should treat everyone with respect, if you want to be successful working for yourself, you got to be willing to set the precedent. You got to be willing to do what's expected of you, pretty much no excuses, which gives you the permission to hold other people that you deal with to the same exact standard. You can't be too trusting of people if you're going to be successful working for yourself, because they will let you down. And number 12, the reason why being an owner operator is not for everyone. Some people are just too casual about what has to get done. In life, we typically only get done the things that we feel have to get done. And I've always heard that if you're too casual about things, you'll end up a casualty. What's required in business is what's required in business. You can't be casual about it. It's got to be top of mind to get even the smallest things done. Because if you don't get those small things done, guess what? They just won't get done. And little things over time add up, and there's nobody to deal with those little things that are going to turn into big things except for you, the self-employed individual. Some people habitually just don't take things serious enough, and if this is you and you're going to become self-employed, you're likely to end up being one of those people that feels like being self-employed and working for yourself and being an owner operator just isn't for you. As usual, family, I hope you got some value from the video. If you did, be sure to smash the like button. And if you got your own reasons why you feel that being self-employed as an owner operator is not for everyone, be sure to leave it down in the comments. I'm looking forward to what you guys will say.